Well, I'm Dave.
And I'm Sean.
And we are Barstools and Bandtalk.
The complete maritime music bucket list. Mm-hmm. Happy to say, first show I'm doing in a ball hat. I was just too gosh darn lazy today to even. But you know what? Here's the thing. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't get too worked up about physical appearance. I'm a confident young man. I look in the mirror and see a 20-year-old on a regular basis. So ball hat, sticking up.
It's only when your boy's in front of the mirror. That's all.
It's like this. I'm good no matter what. I'm wearing my Batman shirt, my LA Kings ball hat. We're gonna have some fun in this interview, and I think this could be the first time that we start from go from being cool, not wishy-washy, but kind of easy, laid back, to maybe a little bit of an advocacy angle here. We'll see where this goes, because we had a little chat about it beforehand. I'm feeling advocacy tonight.
We're a little passionate about the topic tonight because it's, we're going to talk to our good friend Bain Blois, who's done Bainfest now for 10 years. He's a player. He's a promoter. He's a venue operator of a very successful festival that's gone on for 10 years. And now this COVID thing's kind of, they're not really sure what they can do. So, Sean and I can't help but get our nails out a little bit here and our backs up against the wall. Bad things happen. So pay attention to this interview, because we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. We're gonna bring Bain on and we'll see what he has to say as well. And there he is. How are you, Bain?
Good, man.
Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. So in the intro there, we talked about how before we went to record, we had a really good, long, hard chat on your event, which as of now, you do believe is going to go forward. And there's some things that are going on that are maybe making it, I won't say less exciting, but a little more impactful in terms of how you're trying to run the event. So why don't you just talk about that for a second?
I think the biggest kicker, like we were talking earlier a little bit about, was the chances are of COVID happening or coming here to the event. So do you want to be known as that guy or the little festival that created the second wave? So that there's a small chance of that, very small chance, but it's in the back of a lot of people's minds. And the other thing was, how paranoid are people out there of this? Even though they have a ticket or they got a complimentary one, would they still use it? So we don't know. And then I'm up against some other things. Like I already told people that bought tickets for this year, they're going to be good for next year. So now what do? I got 20 days. Do I go and generate 250 tickets and try and sell them in 20 days? And what happens? Will I sell them? What if I don't sell them? And now I'm up against the curtain. Maybe I'm out 10 or 15 grand, and that won't be cool either. So do you go to Q104 and blast it for one day? Well, there's 2 to 3 grand gone. So you
right.
Recoup back. Yeah, there's quite a few variables that come into play. So.
Well, luckily you're dealing with a very effective marketing team called Sean and Dave and Barstools and Bandtalk. So we're going to get this message out, whatever the message is. Right now, the message is that live, music has to maintain its ground in Nova Scotia. There's no reason why, if we're all careful, we can't go forward with an event like Bainfest. But if you're, I hear what you're saying, and I'm so torn. We talked about this before we went on. I mean, what if you gave people little shot glasses of Lysol they could drink after they can't fucking do that? That's retarded. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we have, a lot of bands that want to play. We have a willing audience that wants to hear them. How do we put them together safely?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd love to get them, money in their pocket, get them back. These guys a lot of guys have been, I don't know what they're doing for financially, but I'd love to be able to help them out and make this thing a go and, get them back on the road again. So.
Well, you know what? That's admirable because, I mean, obviously, we all know that, and I have nothing but admiration if anybody steps up in front of an audience and plays, because we all know it's not that easy. But the challenge that I have is sometimes when a venue wants to pay a band less money and uses the old, well, I can get this guy for $500 less than you. And it's like, well, you're going to get $500 less the show. You're not paying for that night. You're paying for the amount of time and effort and experience it took us to get where we are. And so everything that I'm hearing is all the bars they're not taking that. Certainly the ones in Halifax. And it's good that you're not either. I mean, you know, I can tell you're a musician, so you want to get these folks back to work. And that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not Bainfest topic, but it's like a Bain Band topic in a way. So when I go to a bar and I try and sell ourselves, like we'll go in, if he hasn't heard us, we'll go in at, you know, not the maximum that we'd normally ask for, because I want to play there. I want to play there at least 5 times in the year and try and develop a following in his area for that bar. So, you know, you get some guys that will go in and the first thing they do when they're loading the gear is they run to the bartender, are you expecting a big crowd tonight? You probably heard that before. And then, you know, and the bartender will say, well, what do you mean? Aren't you bringing people with you? Don't you have, is the way it should be. Yep. So that, you know, they're your employer, the bar is, and if you want to stay there, you got to bring the people in to do it. And that's how we, or I try to do when we're playing either in New Brunswick or up here in Pictou and that. We created a neat little thing at Fat Tony's in Pictou, and we had 3 bookings, I think it was, for this spring, because it was just starting to roll and come back for them. So,
yep. Yeah. Well, and, you know, we were told a long time ago, Dave and I, in this industry, you know, 17-year-old kids playing the bars is underage. Oh, I didn't mean to say that, but we were told you guys are beer salesmen before you're musicians.
Yeah.
And you know how it works. If the taps are flowing and the cover charge is getting paid at the door, you're going to be back, plain and simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get people dancing, get people sweating, get people falling in love for the night anyhow, and buying drinks and doing all that shit, you know, and then you'll be back, you know. But now it's a little bit different. And it's funny when you said that, Bain, like, hey, it's up to you to bring the crowd. It's too bad that that's the way it is, because that was never the case. We all had our friends and following without question. But now you're getting hired, depends on how big your Facebook group page is, you know, how many people you can bring, and which is not right either, in my opinion, you know. You know, and I don't like that either. It's got to be a symbiotic relationship between the club owners and the bands, you know. To Sean's point, we spent years and years, 35, 40, 50, 60 years, 70 years, you know, developing, you know, our skills. That's worth something, Lord God in heaven, you know. And it's something that you need to kind of pay for to get quality entertainment, so you're going to get a good following. And I don't know, it bugs me to no degree, but we said we weren't going to get too political, so I'll kind of jump off that soapbox and we'll jump on this one. So right now, is our fight with the Nova Scotia government, or is our fight with COVID? Well, it's obviously COVID, you know what I mean? Like, because we've never had to deal with this thing before. But what can you say now, Bain? Like, what could you do at your festival to make it a safe environment, as safe as you could? Like, what can you do you think?
Yeah, well, in the rules, it's 12 feet for musicians.
That should have been a rule like 60 years ago, man.
I played stages that were less than 12 feet. Jesus.
Oh my God. Is that really, that's a real thing, isn't it? You got to be
it's in here about vocalists and singers. It says here, performers and the audience, 4 meters, 12 feet. So,
wow.
Anyway. So that,
you got 3 acres there. You got 3 acres on the ocean. Maybe it'll be okay.
You spread out 250 people will be all right. Yeah. But I think one of the rulings is I think groups of 10 can get together. So we were thinking of a month ago when I was trying to come up with some sort of scheme to make this work and make it safe for everyone, is put picnic tables and rope off the area so you're coming in and out of that area of your picnic table, and a group of 10 can be there. If you came with those people, you guys hang together, and maybe have it would be like a maze under the tent, but I don't know, maybe that's the way we do it. And so with respect to that, then you got to supply masks. So a little bit of a cost there involved, right?
You get to supply masks?
Well, you're kind of responsible, and I think it mentions it in here too. It's your responsibility in a way to make sure they're safe. So if they don't come with masks, I think You're supposed to accommodate that. They talk about parking and transportation and, assigning staff and volunteers to monitor the physical distance. So I don't know. It's,
Yeah.
Again,
Here's the thing, and you know what? I get the spirit and the principle of, you needing that distance, and it's just an airborne, pardon me, an airborne sort of thing, and I totally get that. For me, where I get frustrated is it's just the way that it's always delivered. And you never know who these experts are besides the two people that are having the press conference on a regular basis. And like, for me, it's frustrating because I'm thinking about your event, and we were talking before we started the amount of money that's going to go into that area when that event's there, and that's tax dollars, right? And what are they doing? They're like, if you're saying it costs you $75,000 to put on, dare I say, you might not know, but maybe $500,000 of business gets done that weekend. Why aren't you picking up the phone and calling Bain and getting your 2 cents, as opposed to sending you a piece of paper that's the do's and don'ts? I don't get it, and that's just what's frustrating for me.
Yeah, and you're talking about the locals in a way, right? That they don't jump on board, and you're talking about the government. Well, just give you a little bit of history. When I first started this out, I thought it'd be the coolest event in the world for the locals. The locals never came. There's half a dozen maybe that came.
Really?
And I thought I was pitching to the locals to come, and I thought it'd be the coolest thing in the world. So from there, we would get locals playing and coming up and jamming. So basically, we had an open mic on like a Saturday afternoon, and then the band could start, say, at supper time or when it got dark. But we had people that maybe played in their living room, never played on a stage behind a big PA system with all the fucking lights and everything and a sound man, and they may never ever again in their lives. But we put them up there, we took care of them. They had guys asking them what they wanted. Is your mic okay here? How your monitors not? They probably never even knew of monitors. We had one guy come in here with two students, and you wouldn't believe it. He pulled off a Rush tune with these kids. It was insane.
Really?
And it was pretty good. It was really entertainment to see. It was really cool entertainment. So we had only a couple come and participate, come and buy tickets. You wouldn't believe what I did. I was on the road myself, Main Street, Tadamagush going in. I was handing out invitations for free just to get people to come. Because in the first few years, we never charged money. It was a free event. I'd make a deal selling equipment, and I'd get $1,000 worth of lobster, and they'd come down all cooked, and we just handed out mussels and corn one year as well. Just happened to get a deal on the stuff, right? And it was a real fun event. And then finally, Marie started seeing me sneaking money out of here and there and what it was actually costing. And so we had to get a little bit more legit on it. All of a sudden, now you got to put a tent up. Well, we started with a 30 by 60, which was so much money. Well, a 40 by 80 now is, there's $4,000 just right off the top. So I can't hide that.
Yep. That's right. Well, and I mean, I mean, again, in terms of dollars generated, revenue for an area, I've been part of the Sedma Minor Hockey Tournament now for 10 years. That thing generates, in 4 days for this HRM, roughly $6 million a year in different sorts of spinoffs. Yeah. Yet every year they have to reapply for this fund from the city as part of funding, and it's like, again, I like every time somebody comes in and buys a hotel room, they're eating, they're buying gas, they're probably getting souvenirs, they're doing all this stuff. So it's so incredibly frustrating that people that are educated just seem to do stupid things when it comes to these events, and they just don't. They make it hard to put on something that is a very smart thing for an area.
What about the intangibles? What about people who come to Tadamagush? It's like, oh my God, I would love to retire here. I like to buy land here. I like to get my own cottage here. Or like, there's so many things that can go out of that. I don't even know when the last time I was in Tadamagush. I might go again myself. But I mean,
Big
I'm
town.
I'm going to Bainfest. I don't even fucking care. Maybe Sean and you they'll sit there, Bain. I don't care. We'll sit there and have a beer. It doesn't matter to me. But we'll go.
We're building a new deck. You guys come up. You give me the mugs. I give you the hats. We're drinking
Yeah.
beer on deck.
Done.
Yeah.
12 feet apart.
Listen, there's already 4 trailers in our yard. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, so let's presume it's going ahead.
Hmm.
Who'd you like to have there for playing? Like, who's going to be playing? Like, assuming everything goes ahead with the 250. Say you have the 250, which is half capacity, right?
Yeah, it's half capacity.
Well, you know what? Don't even worry about it. Let's not talk about that right now.
Let's say if it's going ahead and we got 500 to 600 people there, then hopefully I remember them all. So you have our band. You got Matt, you got Sam, Wayne Nicholson, Tribute, Loaded Dice, Razor Boy, Mellotones, Sounds of Motown, Leona Berkey, and Men with Issues. I think I got them all.
Christine, or no?
And Christine, sorry, and Christine. Yeah. I knew I forgot one.
And your friend Christine. Yeah. So yes, that's a good show. That's worth $500. I mean, in the open market, right? And so it's a steal at 150. Is that what you're selling 150? Or no, 250?
150 or 150, yeah. And last year we had 93 trailers on the property, and these people, you're within like 200 feet at the most of the tent. So it's quite a little community. So there's 93 trailers on the property, and that wasn't including the tents. And we had this one section that had a massive amount of tents. And everybody here in the area, all the neighbors and that, they love it. They get involved. We have people that take their vacations just for this and just around this. So.
And me thinks that this would be a good opportunity. We get down there and we can do some sort of, documentary of this, interviewing some folks and because I'm ever I'll tell you, I was getting ready to go to Fredericton to do St. Patrick's Day. And up until, which was on the Tuesday, we were going to leave the Monday night. And up until lunchtime, I was like, we're ready to go. My bag's still packed. It's up in my bedroom. I haven't unpacked it, right? And I kid you not. And
Sean, you're not going. St. Patrick's Day
over. But ever the optimist, I do feel that you will have this, and I do feel that it's going to be what you want it to be. We'll stay on top of it, like I say, man. And we'll. Man, I'd love to go down there and document this and interview folks and turn it into something very cool for us. And
that being said, like you guys are coming up no matter what, if it's a go or not. So, and
done.
That being said, after watching some of your past videos when you first started that, and you did the one at Darby Mills, which I thought was really cool. And she's got a good story. And I said, okay, next year, what about Thursday night? We start a day early, and we have Darby Mills or someone like that if we can get her. Thursday night, sell tickets just for the Thursday night for that one act if you want to come, or have a price for the whole weekend as well, something like that. So anyway,
great idea.
Watching your guys' videos, I just watching her and listening to you, watching you talk, and then I went in a little deeper on the internet and YouTube, and read about her and did all that sort of Wikipedia bullshit, and
Well, and it's funny, right? Because there's a recurring theme, certainly for me, when we get to interview, folks of that caliber. It goes a little something like this. It's nice to talk to somebody that I grew up listening to that isn't a dick. And I said that to her the first night, and I got to tell you, like, what a sweet woman. And I mean, she just, Dave and I had her on for 3 hours, and probably going to talk to her more. We actually took a break. Dave had to use the washroom. So, Derby came back.
I'm over 50. I pee a lot. It is what it is.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just such a great talk, and you heard her, man.
She's like one of us in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that drew me in, and I said, okay, next year Thursday, if she's not available, what's my next choice? Maybe Colin James, maybe, or something like that. But she's my first pick for sure.
This thing that Sean and I do is like our dream job. It's kind of what we do all the time. It's what we always did for the last 35 years. Wow. We just talk to other musicians. That's all we've ever done. And it's now we're getting the opportunity to let people in, take a sneak peek about what musicians really talk about. It could be, having a piss. It could be talking about kids. It could be talking about the next gig. It could be talking about what you did before, who you're playing with now. Who knows where it's going to go? But there is one common theme that they're all super fans too. You know what I mean? We talked to Dave Wanless from Sun Galley. Wicked guy. He was just a rock fan like he's our age. You know what I mean? His band started the same year that Sean's and I started. Now he took a little bit of a route than ours did. Greg Frazier from Brighton Rock and Helix. Oh my God, we haven't seen the interview yet, but what a cool guy! Like they're just people like you and I, you know what I mean? And they love to come, and they all love the Maritimes. They've all played here before, and they'd all love to get back here before. So your invite there is super powerful when you think about it. If we could put a little tour together for them, they'll do it.
So and the other thing is when I hear your guys' stories over the interviews and that, and I was born in Halifax, but we moved out in '71 to Sussex, New Brunswick, is where I grew up the most. And what you guys did in Halifax, I'm doing the same thing in Sussex, like, you know, dreaming of maybe having the big light show and doing this and doing that. And, you know, geez, I like to play like Jerry Mercer, and I can't wait to go on the ice in the winter and skate like Bobby Orr or something like that. Yeah. So we're all kind of pitching these. Anyway, we grew up in different areas, but we're all kind of in the same pocket. Yeah.
Well, let's hear your story, Bain. Like I know you're a bass player too, right?
Yeah. So my father, I'll go back. My father was a tea taster for Morse's Tea. So the Morse's Tea building downtown Halifax, his office was there, and got bought out by King Cole Tea and Coffee. So Barber Foods companies in Sussex. So we ended up there. So then I got into music. I was one of the first DJs, actually, probably in southern New Brunswick or in New Brunswick. I started out in, I think, '76.
Okay.
So, and I made all these, I could tell you stories and stuff I made and did, like going down to the town dump, and that's where they stored all the sewer pipe. Well, sewer pipe is the right diameter for a power can. So one night, me and the boys grabbed the pickup truck. We throw three 12-foot tubes on the back of Dad's pickup truck, fucking take all the back roads home, get into Dad's garage. He doesn't question us at all. We start lopping them off at 18-inch. Dad's there with the pine making the circle discs that go in the back so we can put the sockets on it, put the floodlights on it, run the cords out the back.
Oh, so, yeah.
I had a Cowie triple 500. I think it was about a 74 or 5. Traded that in for light trees and 16 power cans, stuff like that. So that was a neat story. The other one was when I DJ'd. You guys remember the flash pots?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
With the smoke in that.
Yeah.
So when I wanted that to DJ, I wanted that. I wanted the smoke. I wanted the haze. I wanted all that stuff. So I had a flash pot, you know, just electrical box with 2 bolts coming up through the bottom of it. And what you do is you pour your flash powder on it, run a little speaker wire, just one strand. And when you hit the button, that sparks and everything goes off. Well, you couldn't get the flash powder. So this guy I don't know who it was, goes, in Moncton, they got this, it's going to be 4F gunpowder. Get the finest you can, and it works. So buddy of mine's working in Moncton, and I'm DJing that night at the school, and I got everything set up. He comes running in at about 5 o'clock, gives me the can of 4F gunpowder. So they say, well, let's see what it's going to do, Bain. Let's see what it's going to do. So I just take a little bit. I was scared. I just took a little bit, and it was like, I think gym class just ended, and I was just set up. And I did the speaker strand of the speaker wire, poured just a little thing. And Buddy hits the button on this little poof comes up. It was real small. It was like someone just lit a big cigar, and that was it. Yeah, so that night, I got it all set up. I run the wire back to the little light board that I built, and I take the gunpowder and I walk it to it. Like the bolts are this long, and I run the speaker wire here. So there's this mound of gunpowder. Fuck, they hit the button. I swear the Hiroshima bomb went off. It went out like this. It went up, and the ceiling was probably 30 feet high in the gym in Sussex. The smoke sat up there for 3 songs, and then it came down. you couldn't see 5 feet in front of you. The smoke was disgusting. And your hair, when you left that night after the dance, your hair was just thick. It was the grossest thing ever. Anyway, the school let me take gunpowder in and blow it off in the gymnasium for years.
You did it again after that?
Oh yeah, I did it a couple more times after that.
Well, do you think about all the stuff that, I mean, we used to use concussion blast. We taped them up to get the boom.
Yeah.
And the stuff that you did that you probably could have lost arms and legs and eyes and whatever, and you just did it. I mean,
I did that with ashtrays. I remember doing that with the ashtrays. I had the electric ashtrays. I did that one. Now you were pretty high tech with your power cans. We had the apple juice cans. Remember that, Sean? You used to get the apple juice.
But I mean, one of our band buddies, Ian Fancy, who plays in Midlife Crisis, we were playing a show down in New Glasgow. It was actually the Stellarton Arena.
Yeah.
We had flash spots, and you put the X on the stage where you're supposed to stand.
Yeah,
Well, he couldn't see the X. He was standing on top of the flash spot, and it went off. And all I remember is him looking around. He's got this look of fear in his face, and it's like, just keep playing, dude. And it didn't light him on fire, but it was like, man, dangerous freaking stuff we used to do in the name of rock and roll. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the first time I seen it was in the Catholic Church Hall in Sussex, and the guys who were older than me had it on stage in a little pot. It might have been an ashtray, right? And I just remember them sitting back like this and throwing matches into it. And all of a sudden, and we're all standing around, the audience is standing around just staring, and then bang, it went off.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. So, I DJ'd for years and went to UMB, and I'd say I turned that place upside down because they had socials, like Jones House would have a social, Mackenzie House would have one, and I was in Harrison House, and we'd have, if they're having a social, we weren't allowed to because you had to apply for it, then we would have a bar party in our house. So I'd set up my gear down there and just crank it. No one would go to their socials. They all went to ours. So they shut down bar parties. They shut down everything. It's only one social per campus. But I played like at Lady Dunn, McLeod's, Tibbetts, Harrison House, and all those places there. It was fun. So when I was in university, a lot of my friends were in bands. I ended up, I had like, the B36 bass bins and certain bag of tops. And I had, I think it was Bryston power amps and all that. So they asked me to do sound and lights for them. So I did that for about a year. And then I had time to myself. And that's when I picked up the bass and learned the bass back in, say, 83 to 85. And then I didn't touch it until probably 2006. I bought myself a bunch of gear for Christmas and picked it up then, and then been tinkering with it ever since 06, really. Again.
Well, as you can see above my head, I'm all about rock and roll access because that's the reason why I got into it right there. Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Dave and I had the opportunity to interview one of your bandmates, but Bain Band right now, I know Rick actually really well. I do business with Rick.
He was here this past weekend. And
he's got the driest sense of humor I've ever seen in any man in my life.
Yeah.
And a great singer. And you know what? I had no idea he was a singer till I went down to Monty's one night. He was up there singing with this band, and I was like, "Holy crap, man!
Yeah.
What a great singer!" But tell us about Bain Band.
Bain Band right now is Mark Horton, and it is Michelle, Rick, myself, and Ashford says he'll do keys with us, and he says, well, we won't leave you short, it'll be between me and Neil. So that's where we're at right now. Yeah.
Right on.
I love Michelle. Michelle is just one of the nicest people, the sweetest people I've ever met in my whole life. Yeah. I love your story. I don't know if you watched your interview or not, but it was like,
I did.
It's not very often we get pissed off, but that's, that I probably shouldn't have wished that old lady was dead, but I kind of did, because it's like, there's a girl that, Sean and I talk about this all the time. Where in the name of sweet baby Jesus was she when we're trying to put bands together? Because we couldn't find good competent. I didn't care if they were men or women. Who cares? Someone who could sing, right?
Yeah. So, and Mark Horton is like he what a nice, quiet guy. And every time we have someone in, like a drummer or someone's coming in to play, like we had Tommy there, and now we have Doug McKay's in our band. What I'm talking about. Okay, so when Doug first heard him, or Doug sat in, and for Doug to compliment on his guitar playing, like, you know, he's seen a lot and been around, and he goes, wow, nice playing. And he's the nicest guy in the world, but he's our conductor, so he tells us what songs we're capable of playing. I could skate better than I can play bass, so he shows me a lot of stuff that I should be, you know, what I should be doing at certain times and that, which I'm all ears for. And Rick and Michelle, like, I met Rick or Michelle at the Perfect Pour. I don't know. And then I was looking for, a week later, I was looking for a singer. I just sent her a note saying, geez, do you know of anyone that's a decent singer, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I might be interested. I said, wow. So she came up, and I remember when she started singing, Tommy Fisher was with us before he had the wrist problems and that. And he just goes, wow, he had goosebumps standing up on his arms, like the hair was standing up on his arms. It was insane. And then I said, Michelle, let's do something. I don't want to be the normal band in that. What about another male singer? Just give it that extra punch, because a lot of the songs we're doing were male, but we want the female part in and both of them to do that. She goes, well, you know, how about Rick Spriggs? So I might have been there that time that you saw Rick sing, and it was after the Les Woe hockey tournament. I brought all the boys from the hockey tournament to Monty's, and I said, boys, there's a few bands playing, come on. So anyway, we all piled in, and Michelle was there, and she goes, he's up next. So, and she's standing on the other side of the bar, and I'm standing here, and he and Rick, the Deadbeats, start up, and they do a song that we do, Bubba O'Reilly, and Jesus, all of a sudden, I just looked over after the first two notes. I just gave the nod. Yeah, it's a given. So then I go up, introduce myself to Rick, and then he knows everybody who's with me, like Tim Gill, Craig Reed, all these guys he grew up with playing hockey. So it was kind of cool. It was like, he goes, how come I never ran into you before? So,
well, I mean, I've known Rick now. I do business with Rick, and I had no idea, because he's a pretty humble guy. And I mean, I talked to him a little bit about hockey, because he used to play for the old Dartmouth Arrows with a friend of mine. But you know, I went into Monty's and I saw him singing. I went up to him. I said, "What the fuck, man? Like, come on." You know, because a couple of times and Mark, I've known Mark my whole life. You know, and Mark's the same way. He and I were in a band briefly about 6 years ago. You know, and life just happens and whatever. But so yeah, no, it's great. And then Michelle, the first time I met her was when we interviewed her. But what a sweetheart, man. You know, and it was funny because when I was doing something in Halifax and I was trying to connect to Wi-Fi in the building, so I was like walking around and it was dropping, and then it was like this, you know.
We're a low budget show, Bain. You might have picked up on that.
Hilarious. Yeah,
we're pretty low budget. We're keeping it pretty real. Sean always says, "We want to be more Trailer Park Boys and less Titanic." I love that line.
Yeah, good. Michelle just left. Michelle just left her about half hour ago.
Oh, is that right?
Nice.
Yeah, her trailer. Here's one of her trailers in the yard. She keeps it, leaves it up there. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where that's us right now. And
so how often are you playing now? You playing what? Once, twice?
We were playing just once or twice a month. You know, Mark's got kids that are heavy into soccer, and we want to play, but we don't want to interrupt lives type thing, I guess is how you can put it. So we'll play. I've got us gigs down in Yarmouth, obviously in Sussex and Brunswick, in about 4 different places, in Moncton and Pictou. So those are the main spots that we've been playing. And then Perfect Pour was our mainstay. That's good starting grounds for a lot of bands, right? So
But, you know, and that place is funny because I've known Johnny Gold I used to work with Johnny. And he always used to say, I attend bar here on Friday nights. Come on down. I live in Portland Estates. I could walk there in 5 minutes. And the first time that I went there, I don't know if I went there with you, Dave.
Yeah, it might have been.
But the first time I went there, it was
we knew everybody.
It was a country band that was playing. And I was like, what a cool bar. Like, nice vibe. And I knew some people from the neighborhood. It was like, okay. And then I didn't go back. And then the night that it closed, Dave and I went there. And yeah, I mean, it was cool. And obviously, you know, they started Colleen's. It's a little bit different, but it seems like they're having a good run there. And so,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but I like the sense of community that they had for you know, for that bar, right?
Yeah, well, we loved it because the people went there to dance, went there to have a good time, and you know what? There was never an issue.
Yep.
Of the last 12 years, I maybe heard of one issue there when I was there, and that was it. No,
Yep.
you know, and so yeah, it's unfortunate, but it was tough because there was no parking there really, and you felt like you're being intrusive by parking around the, you know, not on their parking lot, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Bain,
Good.
tell me about now. Bainfest is there now? And I don't want to put you in the spot, but again, in my back of my head, I'm still kind of like our first conversation before we went on air. And I'm not going to keep it much longer. Sean and I have we got to go down to Monty's, get ready for a big show down to Monty's. We have to do a test down there. But
Awesome.
in the last 10 years you've been running this, has there been any problems at all, or no? Any issues security wise or?
No, you know what? I think it's that age that the people that come, like last year we had 600 people here, let's say. I woke up Sunday morning and I think there was like 4 trailers left. I go, wow, they all bailed out that quick. I think I got up around 11. I was beat. But I walked out, all 100 tents and trailers and everything's gone. And there wasn't one piece of garbage or anything laying around. People that were coming to the event were very, very respectful, and it surprised a lot of us. So
Wow.
I'll tell you the trouble we had the police here once. That was during the power outage. So, excuse me. So if you picture this, we're to start at around 6:30. I think it was Touch of Grey was supposed to go on, and the boys are just setting up. And I'm staring at the transformer right here now, and all of a sudden you hear a big bang, and the power goes off in the stage. And I remember Andrew, who works for Bernie Smiley, we just look at each other, and he knew. He goes, transformer went. I go, wow, really? So I come running inside. I call Nova Scotia Power, and I say, what are the chance? Like, how long is this going to be? She goes, well, usually it's 3 hours. And I go, you won't believe it. We just starting a concert here. We got so many people here. Can you do it quicker? Well, you know what? I just checked the grid. Nothing else is going on. And he's dispatched. So he had to come from Truro, which is only 40 minutes. So he comes in with the truck, and he's up and had that fixed. And we were behind by about an hour, which wasn't a big deal. So and things go by, and all of a sudden, I'm on stage with the Mellotones. We're just setting the stuff up, and bang again. I go, holy fuck, this is nuts. So the Mellotones do their thing acoustically, right?
Wow.
And meanwhile, I'm inside here in our front door, and I'm wondering about the power and what we're going to do. A cop shows up, and I go, what now? Because I was told you guys earlier off air about the food truck guy. The cops picked him up. He didn't even make it to the scene, and there was wondering where the food truck is. So now a cop showed up. I'm ready to tear his head off. What? Anyway, he goes, yeah, we got a noise complaint. I go, really? The power's out. Yeah, well, we got a noise complaint. And then he asks what we're doing here, you know, whose property? And I said, it's mine. And anyway, I had to run everything by him. We're not selling liquor, not doing that. And he leans into me and he goes, guess what? There's no noise bylaw on pickup counter. You're good to go. I sat back and roared and laughed, and he laughed. He laughed too, and then he drove off. So
just bust your balls. Yeah.
So once again, we're doing this interview under the impression and the idea that this is going to go forward. And we'll obviously check in with you, maybe later on in the week, see where you're at. Yeah. And if it does go forward, Dave and I, we're going to go down and talk to some people, because I think that's going to be very cool.
We'll have a slot for you and put you up on stage, and whoever you want to chat with, and do it kind of like live right there. And yeah,
that'd be very cool. Very cool. And and in the meantime, like I say, we're going to exchange numbers, and I'll figure out a couple people you can send that letter to.
Yeah.
This could be it, guys. So this could be the first big event post-pandemic, you know what I mean? So this is what and this is kind of where I'm sitting now. Hopefully you guys are on the same page, because I think it's important that you support what Bain's doing here. He's been doing it for a long time. He's got some great artists. They like to work too. It'd be the first time you can all go out and have a real good time. So if everything's good to go, we will promote the shit out of this thing. This is what we will do. Make our mission to make sure that people are aware that this is something that, and it's what, an hour and a half away?
Hour and a half, door to door. Yeah.
From Halifax, you know what I mean? So
Portland States, yeah.
Yeah. He's got 3 acres, freaking bring a sleeping bag. Bob's your uncle, right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Now you'll enjoy it if we can pull it off. You guys, it's so up your guys' alley. Like, just like it's up my alley, it's up your guys' alley even more. So
that's right.
You guys will love it. Yeah.
Yeah. My alleys are getting shorter and shorter every year, so I can't wait.
Yeah. You're not going to go there.
I don't know what that means, but it sounded right in my head, so I just thought I'd throw it out there.
I'm surprised
I get that out anymore. Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't ran into you guys like over the years too. Like really strange. Like
our hair is longer, or mine was anyhow.
Yeah.
His still is.
Well,
but
yeah, and it's funny, Bain, because it's like every now and again, like I went through a little cycle where I wasn't playing. Dave went through a cycle where he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
And then depending upon, who you're with, you might be in like another sort of cycle of the music business, if you will.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then to be honest, I mean, now since we've done the show, Dave and I are trying to get out and see acts because we want to obviously, promote and endorse people that are coming on the show.
Yep.
But I'll be honest with you, man, when I wasn't playing, I'd be sitting my arse on the couch watching YouTube and drinking beer. That was just the way that it was.
Yeah.
But I will say, you will notice Dave and I in there, because one of the things that he and I both have this sort of thing. If we're out seeing bands, you're on the stage, we're not. Therefore, you're not going to get a bad word out of us. You're getting nothing but love and praise because you're doing something that we aren't at that time. If we're in the audience drinking beer, who the hell are we to even say anything but clap our hands? Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess we're trying to be little ambassadors. It's kind of what the goal is here, to be ambassador to the entertainment industry of the Maritimes. And that's what we're trying to do. It's too important to let it go. I mean, it's such a long legacy that we can't forget about. You know what I mean? Like, folks like Bruce Wheaton, folks like Wayne Nicholson, folks like Jackie Smith. Like they need the story to be told. Sam Moon, and it's oh my God, it's. It was so important for us to have them on our show as some of our first guests, because we need to be educated. It's Bruce Wheaton. It's gone on for like 5 or 6 episodes. We're not even done yet. It's like it's like this is so much to know, right? And it's so much to share to let other people know.
And that dude, man, I mean, 3 separate record deals with 3 separate bands, and not only that. Your big business when Mama Cass records one of your songs and you don't find out about it until about 10 years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
But he's like that's when I was picking bands for this. I knew you needed to have headliners, but I wanted just those standbys like the Minglewood and when they came and we had Miles Goodwin and Jim Henman and them here too. And seeing Bruce, and I just stood back and I was on stage and I see Miles coming off, shaking hands with Sam and just watching these guys interchange and say this and Wayne there and Matt was later that night, so he didn't get to mingle with Miles and them, but just seeing the guys trade off stories and then even here like late at night sitting around the table with like Mike Jackson and Doug McKay and Sam and listen to the stories and that I'm like you guys, I sit back and I just go wow and just listen.
Yep.
And we get the best gig in the world, brother. We get the very best gig in the world. This is all we can do, right? So listen, we're going to have to run, but here's the thing. I can promise you that I'll say this off record too. I said we'll be touching base and we have a lot more to talk about for sure. And see that guy? That's not whatever it is. He's a guy. He's like a dog with a bone in his mouth. He'll help you. He knows the people and he'll rattle it. He's the greasiest fucking wheel I know. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, God's honest truth. My counselor is not reoffering it. My counselor is not reoffering it. I was asked by 4 or 5 people to consider running. Not on your life. Wouldn't want that job for all the money in the world. But I have been lucky over the years to meet some really cool people. And the key is like I said, don't be a dick and they'll help you out, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see what we can do, my man.
Awesome. Well, tomorrow I'll start the phone calls and see who's in, who's out, and I don't know. I can't say one way or another. It's tough.
Think
Well,
happy
keep us
thoughts,
posted.
brother. Just think happy thoughts. Like I said, this
That's it.
needs to go on. This needs to go on.
Yeah.
The show must go on. It's got to go, right?
Perfect. I hope so.
Bain,
Right
pleasure
on, man.
talking to you, brother. Thank you very much for being on the show. And we'll see you on the other side of this for sure.
Yeah, listen, it was really nice meeting you guys, and
Yeah.
you're doing good stuff, so it's cool.
Thanks so much, man. We'll be chatting.
Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely. All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Thanks, brother. Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye.
So that's what we do, man. So that's actually just a second. No, still recording. Sorry.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barstools